kicking me off.
I kept telling you, he had no fun, he couldn't hit, he swing like a sissy, he's missing, let me see you up. I hadn't started dancing yet. But tremendous hurt, basically first round, and Hearn gets hurt. Hearn got done. I know it's done early in the round. Great first round. Incredible. Perhaps one of the best in middleweight history. Hey, that black guy, he hit
Bang, 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 bang.
fire. Down the Mongo.
What's going on, my boxing people? It's your host, G.Alé down here, writer and reporter for RealCombatMedia.com, and I'm joined by my co-host, Julius Fox, Lord of Ring IQ Boxing Talk on YouTube, and currently holding the narrative that is the anti-PBC, anti A-side, Al Heyman, anti Wilder, anti anti.
Oh, stop!
That's what that's your title, right? I mean, that's
what they're trying to make it seem like it's about. Even though these are the same morons that watch me praise certain fighters that are PBC fighters, but they act like you got to praise all PBC fighters or you hate PBC. That seems to be the narrative, that if you got a constructive criticism about a particular fight, you got to like them all. You can't just like a few. You got to like them all. That seems to be how they want it.
Well, yeah, and that's what that's what seemed to be the trend, or at least the theme of this past week, is just hypocrisy, right? Wilder's trying to, or at least Wilder fans are now trying to pin the anti-A side argument against the fans of Anthony Joshua, who clearly are in the better bargaining position for this fight. That is Wilder and Anthony Joshua, of course, somehow in the future. And then, well, I mean, I'll go through the rundown that's going on for today. Of course, Deontay Wilder's knockout of Bermane Stiverne in the first round. Of course, we're going to have to talk about that, the call out of AJ, and of course, the whole buzz around that whole fight. Anthony Joshua, whose response to his rival, and including Wilder and Tyson Fury. And of course, what 2018 looks like for at least the two fights that they have on the horizon for him coming up. And of course, we're going to preview Danny Jacobs against Luis Arias. He will be fighting on HBO this weekend. His debut with Matchroom Boxing as his new promoter. So we'll be trying that out. So let's get into it. Deontay Wilder, who has made somewhat of a viral presence with his knockout of Bermane Stiverne. So jump into it. Tell me, have you seen anything that impressed you, or anything new coming out of this past fight?
Well, I mean, I don't want to it's not my intention to denigrate Deontay when I say that I didn't see anything I didn't already know, or I didn't see anything that that we didn't see before. We saw a good 1-2. We saw the jab, we saw the straight, we saw the speed, we saw the power, but we knew about all of that already. And more importantly, we saw those things against Stiverne, who we saw him beat the hell out of already. So it's kind of like stating the obvious that Wilder can beat the hell out of Bermane Stiverne. Gee, you think? Like we weren't here already? So as far as the performance, I mean, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm saying that this is what we all thought would happen. Like we all thought this was going to happen. The good thing about it is that he did it in such a way that he got another set of eyes looking at. He got the casuals talking about it, that the internet is buzzing off of it and that they having fun with it. So the performance, nothing out of the ordinary. But as a whole, something good came out of it. He was able to generate somewhat of a buzz because people that don't watch boxing normally are talking about that knockout.
And, you know, for me, just like you, I didn't see anything that raised any brand new techniques or talents or anything new that really seemed acquired with this passive performance. If anything, my main takeaway is just, okay, he does seem to, I guess, move pretty good, but it's still coming off sloppy for me.
Bro,
And I mean,
it was against Bermain, and that's why I'm like, look, you know, you can do that. It goes back to what we always say, that look, you could get away with certain shit depending on who's in there with you. You can't get away with all that extra shit if it's somebody else. Bermain don't got the reach to make you pay for a lot of the shit you do, like how low the right hand is when he shoots that jab. Bermain can't make you pay for that.
yeah,
But
and let's talk about that. I mean, Bermain Stiverne coming into this, talked some pretty heavy shit considering his position, knowing that he's been inactive, knowing that and even the last fight he had wasn't really a top tier opponent or really good outing at that. And then came in, and I see it, and I've only seen it the one time, that night.
mhm,
Now, it's said that he didn't throw a single punch throughout the entire fight.
he didn't. He literally didn't. And what does that communicate to you, that he fought an opponent that throughout the entirety of that round couldn't find a window to throw a punch? I mean, what does that communicate about the Bermain Stiverne, this version of Bermain Stiverne? Because it's my opinion that he already fought the best version of Bermain Stiverne.
Yeah, at this point you can say that. And what it just highlights for me, as far as Bermain Stiverne goes, as a entity just going into this, not even just say as a fighter. I mean, because that's almost a generous term to even call it. But Lou DiBella was right as far as the pre-fight buildup into this. Was his main thing was Bermain Stiverne didn't even deserve to have the position of having this fight. He was a mandatory that needed to be obligated by the WBC. The fact that he had this position with 2 years of inactivity just out of default is embarrassing. I mean, and look at the performance that it pulled out as what it showed into this past Saturday. Awful.
It
I'm,
was, and the in the ideal world, a mandatory challenger is more like an Errol Spence when he was the mandatory for Brook than a guy like Stiverne. We know that Errol Spence worked his way up there. That wasn't just a happy turn of chance, and we know that for Stiverne, those circumstances were very different. That Povetkin was the mandatory. We know what happened with him, but they should have made Stiverne earn the spot. Instead, they just gave it to him. They literally gave it to him. First, they told him no when he petitioned them for that spot. Then they gave it to him. And look at the performance that he put out as a result of that. Oh yeah, the casuals love it. They just want to see somebody get laid out. But for the guys that watch a lot of boxing every Friday, every Saturday, you know, I mean, like, really, like, do you think that Bermain Stiverne deserved a title shot more than some of these other guys that are out there? You ask me, Dillian Whyte deserved a title shot more than Stiverne. He won his last 6 fights. He's been a very busy fighter.
well, I mean, and that's a good segue into that now. Eddie Hearn has Dillian Whyte now at a #1 position for the WBC, is at least the #1 contender. With his last outing, of course, 3 weeks ago. And even with that, I mean, you know my take on at least Dillian Whyte at this point, a way to observe him. He his last outing, I was not really impressed at all.
No, neither was
And I never even held him in that great regard anyway. I think his Chisora fight kind of threw a little bit validity to him as a fighter. But this past outing, he looked very sloppy. I mean, just borderline, just almost lucky the fact that he had the opponent that he did. As far
Well, I
as
mean,
him throwing him with a competitive fighter, I don't know. I think he has just as much as a puncher chance, but I mean that does him a favor in this division. So what can I what can I really say?
well, I mean, I'll put it a different way that Robert Helenius is a decent fighter, and you know, I'm not going to say that Dillian Whyte looked great, or I'm not going to make excuses for him, but I'm just going to say that, well, Robert Helenius is a decent fighter. So even if Whyte didn't look great, it's kind of offset because Robert Helenius is a decent fighter. Forward scrapper. He tries to keep you behind the jab. He tries to use the ring. He's a big guy, but he moves around. He uses the jab. So I'm not going to say that it was terrible for Dillian Whyte. He was fighting someone that brought something to the table, which is more than I can say for Bermane Stiverne and Derek Rossi. You know, like you got dropped in the first round. You didn't fight nobody for 2 years. You end up in this mandatory position, and this is what you go out there and get. And it's self-explanatory to anybody who knows what's actually going on. But to these guys, Wilder just parted the Red Sea by beating a guy that we already saw him beat.
And I mean, the fact that you know, he even went down on a blocked shot. like the second knockdown, it didn't even land. And still just went down. And I mean, and the good thing, I guess, coming out as far as Stiverne goes, it's not. It's just a bad look overall. He should possibly think about even just consider retiring.
I think so.
I mean, there's really serves no purpose at this point. But in terms of Deontay Wilder, great viral moment. There's Haha Davis is famous on Instagram, made a good little voiceover or commentary of his knockout. And then also Jared Hearn had a little moment of imitating Deontay Wilder's knockdowns. So it's pretty much evident. I think everyone knows, even the Deontay Wilder supporters are now in full acknowledgement of just how fucking crazy he looks when he does some of this shit. Like those last, what was it, the last knockout he went for, where it just said fuck all to any type of technique, and just went for it.
You know, and that's, a lot of guys like to excuse that he only does that when he's going in for the kill. Yeah, but you do realize that that's still an opening that lot of
exactly.
That Jared Hearn, we're aware of it, and we're sitting at home. None of us are experts, but even we know that in that moment, he can be caught.
And and that's what I'm trying to like. That's what I guess what I was trying to get out of that first initial question earlier, is if you've seen anything new. And basically, by that meaning anything that throws the idea that his chances are now a little bit better against Anthony Joshua. Because for me, I still have Anthony Joshua knocking out Deontay Wilder.
Well, look, I mean, because the things, it's not. I don't want to make it seem like Wilder has no chance. You understand? I'm not saying that he's not a threat. When I say that I think Anthony Joshua beats him, I'm not saying that he's not a threat. I'm saying that this is a guy that can be outmaneuvered. He can be out-jabbed. He can be outboxed. He can get clipped. These are all things that we have literally seen before. Was out-jabbing him and outboxing him, okay? Molina clipped him famously. We all talk about it on a regular basis. Lesser known is the Harold Sconier's knockdown.
Of him calling out Anthony Joshua, the same spiel, one face, one champion. Are you ready to pass this test with some little silly, stupid nursery rhyme? just really pushing it out there. And now he's pushing the narrative right now that Anthony Joshua is ducking Deontay Wilder. That's the narrative that's now being pushed. Now, you guys viewing right now, more than welcome to add your input on the chat. What the hell does anyone truly agree with the fact that Anthony Joshua is ducking Deontay Wilder? I ask this because, well, this should be rhetorical, right? I mean, has there even been an opportunity for Joshua to even duck? Both these guys just took care of their mandatory obligations, right? So now that that's over, the next fucking week, you're going to tell me that he's ducking because he didn't make the fight 2 days ago? So now Anthony Joshua, but thank you for joining us again now, Julius.
Yeah,
I was just, yeah, I don't know. This thing's acting weird. So hopefully you guys got to work with us. Sometimes it's just been cutting us in and out, including myself. But now I was just going on about now that, with Deontay Wilder's win, him being pretty vocal on social media out here pushing the narrative that Anthony Joshua is ducking him.
Man, that's a lot of bullshit.
And yeah,
a lot of bullshit.
And that's exactly what I was just going on. I mean, on to the point. These guys just finished their mandatory obligations. This guy, his rival, Anthony Joshua, just fought last week. When the fuck was he supposed to make the fight happen? Yesterday?
Well, look, these guys, I mean, like, look, I'll be honest. I question the intelligence of these guys because they watching the same fights. They know all the same information that we know. That before Anthony Joshua could even make a move, he had to wait for Vlad to make up his mind. Now, Vlad made up his mind, and he decided to retire. But after that, the IBF jumped all over that, like, oh, so you're not fighting Vlad. All right, well, you got to fight your mandatory. No exceptions, no unifications. You got to fight your mandatory. And we all know how that worked out. These guys are looking at the same fucking news that we are, yet they willfully ignore that shit. Deontay Wilder wants to pump an agenda that he is the most feared heavyweight when Jarrell Miller, Amir Mansour, Dillian Whyte, and Luis Ortiz are all knocking on his door. So how are you the most feared guy when there's 4 guys that want a piece of you? 4 guys. Maybe Joseph Parker doesn't want a piece of you. We've established that. But there's 4 other guys that do. So you can't be the most feared guy when you got that many guys knocking on your door. There's as many guys knocking on your door as there are guys knocking on Joshua's door. But you don't see him running around feared heavyweight.
Sorry, give me a moment. I got looks like we got Bo coming in, and it looks like Nico is trying to join the party too.
I'm with it.
So getting the fellow Ring IQ admins added to the discussion right now. Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't cut me out, and if it does, y'all gonna have to work with us. Yeah, and while we're getting this set up, I just wanted to let it be known that yeah, he's not the most feared. And here's the most aggravating thing about this is because you had a live stream earlier on the group about how you could push Deontay Wilder's story, how you could make him almost like a hero among one of his country goers. Yeah. But the thing, like the dislike for me right now is the fact that this is, and this is going to sound really harsh, but as far as being a boxer, he's pretty incompetent in terms of certain skills, and for me that it still gets the backing from other people who detract people like Manny Pacquiao and Gennady Golovkin.
Oh yeah.
As far as their techniques, and it's very boring or wild or unorthodox, or it's not the real boxing technique. For for it to come from that side of people, and for them just to flat out ignore this shit.
Well, you know what's going on, George. So I mean, we don't. I get tired of dressing it up because I don't like that conversation, because I don't want to have that conversation. But at the end of the day, we know what's behind it. You know, these are guys that normally are harsh critics on the skills of other fighters. Whereas now you've compromised that ideal. You've completely thrown it out the window because you have an affinity for a story, not the boxing skill, not what the boxer can do, but for the story. And you know what? I can't tell you who to fall in love with. I can't do that. All I can do is tell you that I look at both of them and I see that one guy is a clearly better boxer than the other. And he has power too. So that makes me edge him to win the fight if and when it goes down.
Now, what I was saying though, is, as far as what makes me really upset about it, is that like with this backing now, gives him the credence to want to talk his shit, which he's more than willing to. I mean, he's the champion now, or a WBC champion. But there's just a certain cockiness to an unskilled fighter right now that I just cannot really like. I just can't dig it. I'm not with it. And it just kind of rubs me wrong.
No, I mean the same way it rubs you the wrong way, because it's a misappropriation of, not a misappropriation, but it's false pretenses. You understand? It really is false pretenses that you've knocked out this many guys, but the seasoned boxing fan knows that who were those guys? Who were they? And what were they coming from when you fought them? You can have 100 knockouts, but if it's 100 journeymen, and that's not said to be disrespectful, but this really is how these things work, that once you step up in class, it's going to show who you've been fighting, who you've been knocking out, that once you step up in class, all those things that you got away with, those opportunities won't be there. And you're going to have to fight a different kind of fight because now you're fighting a different kind of fighter. You know what I mean? You can say that Jamal Charlo, for example, can go in there and have his way with a Jorge Sebastian Highland because Jorge is a certain kind of fighter. But Daniel Jacobs is a higher tier, a higher caliber of fighter. And where you can do what you want with Jorge, you can't do what you want with Danny. And the same applies to Wilder. They think that because it's the heavyweight division, that it's all about power, as if we've never seen heavyweights with skill. And that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, well, speaking of different tiers and skill, Truth and Facts of Boxing, Bo Bland is here. Has finally joined the podcast. You okay over there, Mr. Bland?
A podcast you had at fucking 3 goddamn o'clock in the afternoon.
Hey, what? I mean, what else is there to do?
That's prime time.
That's prime.
That's fucking prime time. That's lazy off work nigga time. That's what the fuck that is. Get out of here.
That's prime time UK. Yeah, GMT.
Well, okay, whatever, man.
Speaking of UK, I did also want to mention, I did want to do a little brief shout out to Josh Taylor, who does fight this weekend. If any of you guys have not caught this guy, his last fight was against O'Hara. That was supposed to be, a nice little spicy fight there. This guy is talented. Okay. I've seen he was actually featured on a PBC undercard, like randomly on like Spike TV, I believe, once. Mm-hmm. And I was watching him once in the break room at my job once, and I just couldn't believe it. This guy I believe he's from, was it Scotland or Ireland? Scotland. Yeah, I saw the plaited trunks. It had to be, but definitely had to give that shout out. So yeah, Bo, your input on Deontay Wilder's performance, any takeaways, anything new that you saw, anything that made you think anything different of our WBC champion?
I've said this before. I'll say it again. There is something about Stiverne that brings out certain things about this guy. The problem is, in his next fight, we don't see it. And I don't understand why.
Bo,
what's up?
Bo, The thing that
Right.
brings that out of Bermain, the thing that about Bermain Stiverne that brings that out of Wilder is that Bermain Stiverne started the round by not throwing a fucking punch. Okay? That's what it is. I don't think that Bermain Stiverne is a bad fighter. I honestly don't. But I think that he's a
No,
solid
Wilder.
B-level fighter. He's a B-level
Wilder.
fighter.
Now, smoke your cigarette and hush. Smoke your pack of cools and be quiet, okay? Let both
Cools.
statesmen, the elder statesman speak for a second, all right? You get your turn because you always have your turn. Now, here's the thing, though. The main Stiverne, and this is why I said, listen, Deontay Wilder is going to beat Stiverne. I don't know why people give it Stiverne. I said, we haven't been in the ring in 2 years. But Stiverne is a notorious slow starter. He doesn't actually start getting warmed up until the third or fourth round. So when you're 38, you're a slow starter. You complain about shit. You're not going to pick up. So Deontay was able to pump the jab like he does. He able to throw straight right hand. He threw one windmill fucking punch, and he did.
Yo,
And he did a move. Now, did he do that on a consistent basis? And of course, the answer is no, because right after he beat Stiverne the first time, we saw him do that. When he went in there,
Hey, Bo, you might want to talk to your phone so we can hear you.
can you hear me?
You're getting further and further away.
He's doing it. You know what? I'm gonna try another device. Fuck.
All right, so that was interesting. Nico,
what
glad
up?
you could join us, man.
Thanks,
What's
dog.
going on?
I'm right here just at work and shit, chilling. Well, I am working, but I'm driving a fucking tractor, so I can multitask.
Oh, okay. All right. So you just
I'm right here
just doing it all, man. All right. So listen, Deontay Wilder, first round knockout of Bermain Stiverne. What's your takeaway from the fight?
Listen, even though the fact that Stiverne, he was off for 2 years, honestly, the fact that Wilder knocked him out in the first round, it shocked me. I mean, I'm not gonna say it didn't, because a lot of times I seen Stiverne blocking, and even if he was blocking, no matter what his condition was, but man, that motherfucker Wilder must hit hard to put him on his ass how he did. I can't knock him out. I mean, we all know Wilder's not the most technical fighter, because he's not. He has a lot of flaws. The only thing is that he relies on his power, and that's what's getting him by. But I feel when he faces a more technical boxer, it's gonna be a different story. Like for me, a good fight that, even though it wasn't his fault, that was that Ortiz fight, because Ortiz, he's technical, as it comes to the heavyweight division. So that would have been a good test for Wilder, but it wasn't his fault. But it's like it left people like with a bitter taste. And that's the Burn fight. It wasn't. I mean, I knew he was gonna win, but the way he won, it was like, holy shit, this guy must really hit fucking hard, because Stiverne was blocking them shits, but he still put him on his ass. But I feel like a more technical boxer is gonna give Wilder problems, especially a boxer that could hit almost as hard as he hits. Because Wilder's been checked already a few times by smaller guys. So like a fighter like Joshua, like Ortiz, I want to see how Wilder's gonna react to those type of guys.
Yeah, I mean, and what I noticed in particular with almost just about every time, I mean, I made a post where I said what skills pay the bills, of a picture where Deontay Wilder's full, like his face is just wide fucking open. It looks like Deontay Wilder's arms are just spread apart, basically in between a hook. And the main thing I noticed in between that is, like, I'm just picturing Anthony Joshua just landing punches in between those shots. In particular, the jab, like you were mentioning, Julius, not too long ago. There's just vulnerabilities that I see just all over with Deontay Wilder that for the life of me, he just won't fix. he just either don't want to acknowledge, or he skims over it and says, oh, I just mastered this style. It's a style that I created, and
Well,
it's just
can I say something that most people don't say? Where does Wilder generate this kind of power when he's such a lean heavyweight? Where is he generating this destructive power? And it's because he's winding up the punch. I mean, that's literally where it's coming from. Look how far back he came with some of those hooks that he was throwing at Stiverne. These haymakers, these bombs. He's winding them up. You're not going to get the chance to do that with the Anthony Joshua. You didn't get the chance to do that with Gerald Washington. And he's not the caliber of fighter that Anthony Joshua is. So when you've got to wind up the punch to put the mustard on it, I'm telling you, it's not going to find a home, and you're going to get caught. I think that Joshua floors this guy off a good counter right or a counter jab. He floors this guy, because what you see when Wilder's doing this is look at his fucking feet. He is off balance
all the time.
He's going to get caught.
He's off balance almost all the time. And for the life of me, just doesn't want to fix. And that's my frustration. You've known this for the longest. I mean, it's been like a year now. I've been saying the same shit. Like, I'm frustrated with it. I'm not like people. You can consider me, on the page, I'm probably considered a Wilder hater. But I am just totally frustrated with the guy, of him just not wanting to fix shit, or him just not even acknowledging the mistakes he's making. But there's other fan base out here that really are just flat out enablers.
Yeah.
Oh no, I mean no, it's different. It's his technique. It's this. Technique. But then called Manny Pacquiao like a wild lucky puncher.
Bullshit. Because when Manny Pacquiao, I'm not a Pacquiao fan. And you know that, George. Like, you literally know that. I'm not a fan of him. But look at his hooks. They're compact. There's just not a lot of opportunities that Manny's giving you to really come back at him. You understand? Because he's in and out while he's doing it. He's bouncing while he's doing it. He's coming from all these different angles while he's doing it. Wilder is standing in front of you, squared up, off balance, winding up a punch. There's plenty of room in there for you to slip it and counter. And because he's off balance, you'll get a knockdown. That's likely how it happened in Scone years.
Let me say something real quick. Even though now that we have brought up that Washington fight, I am a little biased towards kind of Mexican fighters, but I mean, in my opinion, Washington was using that fucking jab way better than fucking Wilder.
Yes, he was.
I mean, I thought that fucking fight, to be honest, I thought it got kind of stopped a little too early. But then again, I might be a little biased, But I thought it got stopped a little bit too early. But I thought that Washington was winning the whole fight, so he fucking relied on his power. But that's not gonna work all the fucking time.
I agree with Nico. When I was scoring that fight, I was scoring it for Washington. He was up.
Yeah, same here. I had him up 5 rounds, and even the stoppage that he suffered. I mean, he wasn't really in trouble. He walked away.
Yeah,
the fight was stopped, and he walked away.
And that's what legitimized the stoppage for me. That I saw that Washington was wobbly when he got up. So maybe the refs saw that before the people at home saw that. Home were like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Well, that's the thing. If anybody that knows Gerald Washington is that he's like that. I mean, like he looks like that when he's gassed. Especially if you ever seen the Mansour fight, he was all over the fucking place, and he was. That's not to say he was necessarily hurt. I mean, well, first of all, Mansour, you're going to get some hurt in there. So there were some shots that was moving him, but generally, just him being gassed and fatigued, he looks that way. And I'm not saying he wasn't hurt. I'm sure he probably was feeling something. But I mean, let me just make it clear I'm not protesting the stoppage.
Me neither. Exactly.
I'm just saying that as far as, I mean, people that want to take a go or have a go at the Carlos Takam stoppage, is like, I mean, come on. Like that. Yeah, no, that's kind of within the realm right there.
That's what pisses me off about it. That's a fight that Joshua was clearly winning. I don't agree with that stoppage. In my book, Joshua didn't knock him out. Really, he didn't knock him out. All right, that stoppage was shit. But here's reality: Joshua was still winning every moment of that fight. Wilder wasn't winning every moment of the Washington fight. Are you nuts?
Yeah,
This nigga box.
and Takam is way more a game than
Yeah.
fucking Jesus Christ, Washington. I mean, considering even though he was winning, that's not to say that he was actually like being on the front for it and going for it. I mean, he's Gerald Washington is known to just be a surviving kind of fighter if he can.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of Malik Scott sometimes.
Yeah. Good comparison. East Coast. He's a East Coast Gerald Washington.
Yeah. Because
All
I mean,
right.
he's a heavyweight, but he's trying to go out there and fight like he's 147 pounds. That's not going to work, bro.
I mean, and I appreciate the throwback style, or at least the attempt to be the more like trimmed down heavyweights. I appreciate that effort, but I mean, fucking hell, if you don't got power, man, what the hell are you in the business for?
Exactly.
All right, so just to wrap things up as far as Wilder goes, so at least the latest things that are coming out of it now are as far as offers go with this fight being lined up. Deontay Wilder has been on numerous media platforms saying that Eddie Hearn is pretty much being a thorn in negotiations, and that he's been ducking Wilder, and in result, basically saying that AJ is ducking Wilder. We already reviewed how that's bullshit. And
no, that is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, not even fucking close. But now the discussion has been seeming to go about as far as who makes the offer. Does the B side come to the A side to give them certain terms to agree upon, or is it the A side that dictates the terms to give the B side to abide by these, since I'm, all this other shit. So now that's pretty much been the narrative. Now we're back to all of us being MBAs and our full-blown business associate degrees, picking out which one's the best tactic now. Basically my fucking nightmare as far as
I'm getting my Facebook business degree next week.
Yeah, me too. And
yeah, y'all gonna catch me at the Vry graduation this December.
Because look, Eddie Hearn is the reason. Eddie Hearn said this in passing, but when he said it, it was rhetorical. You understand? It's rhetorical, and he's highlighting the fact that Wilder is not in a position to make an offer. That's really what he was kind of addressing. That you want things to be a certain way, but you don't have the leverage for them to be a certain way. Otherwise, you be the one making the offer. Are you guys making us an offer? Because you're talking like you're in a position to make us an offer, and you're not. I said this yesterday on the live. I'm going to say it again. Anthony Joshua could pay this guy with the purse that he got from Takam from that fight. He could pay him 5 times and still have more money than he made off of Washington, and still have more money than he made off of Stiverne. Okay, that's where it's at. And those are real numbers, okay? So all this, well, the money's in America. If the money's in America, then why is he making 1.4 million, and why is he making 20 to 25 million if the money's in America?
Yeah, and what was it? What was the number that you said AJ made? What was it? You said 25?
He made 20. Well, that's the UK number. 20 million is the UK number, but the conversion rate is supposedly 25 American. That comes to 25 million American. So if this guy's making 20 to 20, let's just call it 20. Let's call it 20. If he's making 20 million and Wilder's making 1.4 million, doesn't that tell the story?
Exactly. I mean, it's an open and shut case.
Yeah, you're not in a position to haggle.
See, my thing on that is, I mean, as for Wilder, he could make a phone call to Hearn or to his people, and hey, I'm interested in fighting Anthony Joshua. That's as much as Wilder could do. But for him to be acting like he's running shit and he can make he can't. He don't got that fucking leverage, and he don't got that fucking money. What's pissing me off is Davila talking about how the king gonna go. Motherfucker, he ain't gonna come over here because the fight's not gonna fucking sell over here. It's really not. Now, my thing about that is have a fucking fight in the UK. And if you want to make it pay per view in the States, then hey, I mean, that's just a little bit extra because you're going to make the fucking money in the UK regardless. So even if you do have it a pay per view right here in the States, you're not going to lose much because everything's happening out there. Whatever you win,
Yep.
to me, that's just going to be fucking profit.
That's a
I mean,
great and that's a great fucking plan. That you stage the fight over there in Wembley, big arena, big stadium fight, and you just bill it as a pay per view to the Americans. Whoever wants to buy it, go ahead and buy it, but you won't miss the UK money because that's where the money is. That's why Anthony Joshua is worth what he's worth because he sells over there. You don't sell like that over here. You're gonna miss out on all the money trying to appeal to Americans that don't buy shit. They don't buy shit. Did they buy the Ward fight? Did they buy the Terrence Crawford fight? Like what the
Nope.
no.
fuck?
Cheapskates.
And even for fucking Hearn to have the fucking fight in America as a pay per view, he's not gonna fucking take that loss because he knows he's gonna fucking lose money. He's not gonna be able to pay Joshua what Joshua's been making. If anything, I feel like Joshua's gonna take a down pay because that fight's not gonna, unfortunately, it's not gonna sell how it's gonna sell over there. So for people to say, oh,
Exactly.
it should be in America because America's a mech, I mean, people are living on a fucking dream that was in the past. And
Yeah.
shit changes. And the moment shit changes, not everything's gonna stay the same. Like for example, me, I come up with something about a certain fighter, but then I might change my mind because the situation changes. It's not staying the same. And people think, oh, now you flip flop. No, I didn't flip flop. The situation changed. So obviously my opinion is gonna change too because I'm not gonna be
Absolutely. Right.
fucking close minded. And I'm
Exactly.
not gonna have my head on my fucking ass. I mean, it's bullshit.
Exactly. Essentially, like, look, I think that the three of us have a gambler's mentality that, look, a lot of things can happen in between now and then. So unless something changes, I've got to fight. Unless Wilder dramatically improves inside of the next fight or the next two fights, however long it takes for him to get Joshua, I got Joshua knocking his ass out. Honestly. I don't see a lot of avenues outside of a big punch, which basically sums it up to a puncher's chance. I don't see a lot of ways for Wilder to win that fight doing what he's been doing.
No.
Nope.
I think.
Not with Joshua.
Yeah.
Maybe anybody else, but and he's kind of, to be honest, and I'm not trying to talk shit about Wilder, but I think he's lucky that the heavyweight division is not where it should be at right now at the moment. There's only a certain few fighters that could give up, like Ortiz, like Joshua, but he's gotten lucky to that point that the opposition that he's faced.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, let's be realistic.
let's not be unfair, Nico, because at the same time, I don't fault the division. There are good fighters in the division. Andy Ruiz and his counters. He's a very good fighter. Now
Hey, John treated this already.
imagine if that
He
was
had he
Andy
added that to
Ruiz.
it.
Imagine if
Yeah.
that was Andy Ruiz off the
He
counter
ain't put no Barrick in there.
and it
No,
wasn't
we didn't
Eric
have none.
Molina.
I mean, he put the alum in there.
Yeah.
You go ahead. Go ahead, Jay.
Oh yeah. Imagine if that was Andy Ruiz off the counter instead of Eric Molina. Imagine if that was him. He might have floored Wilder off of that counter because Andy Ruiz has fast hands and he got some pop. He discouraged Joseph Parker with those counters. So I'm not going to say the division isn't where it should be. I'm going to say Wilder been fighting the right people, which is what a lot of us say. 32 fights leading up to a title shot fighting. Who? And then after that, Johan Duapis, Chris Arreola, Artur Spelka, that's Bob Jen in sloppy seconds.
Yeah.
You know, you've just been fighting the right fighters.
Well, in terms of his rival, the other topic, now going into our second segment of the show, Anthony Joshua's Twitter responses to rivals. Yesterday morning, our morning, but we woke up to some Twitter posts from Anthony Joshua going out to Joseph Parker, Deontay Wilder, and Tyson Fury. Just taking care of all of them. First in this address, Joseph Parker with the tweet, quote, "Sips tea, continues to read text and refresh email. Still no offer." With the Kermit the Frog gif of him sipping tea. infamously known. And also addressing Deontay Wilder in the Twitter post, a little word on Bronze Bomber fight, ready and waiting for the offer. Then the YouTube video of him, I believe, with God damn it, who's it? IFL TV.
Coogan Cassius.
Yeah.
Coogan Cassius. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, Anthony Joshua. And lastly, to Tyson Fury, and it was just a plain simple: get fit, you fat fuck. And
fat fuck.
Plain and simple for a vocal adversary that's not even registered to even fight. You know,
he's not. He doesn't even have a boxing license. Talking all that shit. He doesn't even have a boxing license though. Like you talking all that shit. You're not even back yet.
And yeah, and that's the worst part with him is that he serves no purpose to even address it. Like what do you really get out of mentioning him? Like he doesn't do anything. he does nothing at this point for you. So I like the brief address, but firstly, I just actually wanted to make note on, or at least just ask the question, because this was pretty out of character for Anthony Joshua. He's typically, above the fray, cool, calm, and collected. Cool heads prevail. What did you think about the unfiltered response?
I think that he's had enough of the bullshit. I don't think that he's scared of any of these guys, and he's tired of being politically correct about it. That he's showing that, I could talk shit too, because, what I get from Anthony Joshua, the demeanor that he has is, look, I know who I am, and you guys know who I am. You want to act like you're a priority when in reality, I'm your priority. But I can pick and choose whatever the fuck I want. I'm in a position to do that, and you're not. So I'm going to talk to you however the fuck I want to talk to you. And I'm going to do whatever I want. When all these interviews that we've been seeing the last couple of weeks, that's the air that he has, that I can do what I want. You guys know that you need me. Without me, what the fuck are you? Without me, if you didn't have me to gun for, what the fuck would you be doing? Mediocre shit, like you've been doing. That's what I get from him. So when I see that interview, he's talking to Coogan Cassius. He's laughing at these guys. He's laughing. He said, "What's Wilder 15th time?" He's mad. He's mad. I'm getting his face like he's laughing at these guys. And that's the air that he got. They're like, yo, you know who the man is. You can front on your Instagram, but when you was in the arena with me and I was fighting Vlad, you ain't say shit. You ain't say shit. Why you ain't come up here in this ring and talk shit to me how Tyson Fury talk shit to you? Why you ain't do that? Wilder was screaming bomb squad at Wembley when nobody was there before the fight with Vlad. I saw the Instagram posted. He's screaming bomb squad. Nobody's in the fucking audience. Nobody's in the fucking audience. Now after the fight, you're thinking, what is Wilder gonna go on stage? I'm going in the ring. Is he gonna talk shit? He doesn't say a peep. He didn't say nothing. Why do you let's just cut the shit. You guys aren't the priority. He's the priority. You need him. Without him to shoot for, you'd only have each other.
See, this is my thing about that tweet. Let me chip in on this. I felt like we all know who Joshua is, and Joshua knows who he is. But for him to fucking say, I think he could have put it in better words. Because obviously we all know that Wilder's not gonna make an offer. Parker's not, because they don't got enough to fucking pay him. I feel like if he would have said, you just haven't made an attempt to contact my people to make something happen, that would have made more sense. But and that's why a lot of people are talking shit like, Wilder's supposed to make an offer to Joshua, which is unrealistic. I mean, if he would have said, hey, you know what, you just haven't gotten a hold of my people so we can negotiate something, I think he could have phrased it better. I mean, but that's just my opinion.
Is it really outside the realm of possibility for them to think that, Wilder can cook up a number that he wants? Who says he can't cook up a number that he wants? I
That
want
is true
10 million,
also.
or I want this much. You know, he can at least do that. You've got a ballpark for what you want. Okay? As much shit as you talking, you should have a ballpark for what kind of number you want.
Yeah,
You know,
you
you
know
know,
what?
you,
Yeah.
you know, you know what the
Pisses me
funny
off
thing
all
about
this.
this is, coming from his perspective, is that considering what Anthony Joshua has already made, and considering what his last bout that he made, Wilder's what grand amount that he's ever made? What was it? Was it 3 million?
Yeah,
Or would
about
he get
3.
his most just this past fight?
No, I
1.7.
mean, as far as I know, I think it's like 3. I think it's
3.
3. He made 1.4
Hey,
for this one.
now consider that he did request 7 million for Dillian Whyte, which of course was astronomically ridiculous.
And that's ridiculous.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, here's the funny thing about that is that I feel like that would, like, he probably doesn't even, the reason why they didn't make an offer is because they have no way to even figure out how they could grossly, what honestly would be a good beginning bargaining, but does it sound like you're even underselling yourself, considering that you're fighting Anthony Joshua? Let me just reiterate that you're fighting Anthony Joshua. You've never made anything more than $3 million. You're going into the fight.
Understand.
So then you're probably thinking, oh yeah, let me get 7 million. And you're like, all right, yeah. I totally got off with a good amount. And you're like, wait a minute, I totally just undersold myself.
Eddie Hearn already said it himself. They're going to have to overpay Wilder because your last fight, you only made 1.4. Anthony Joshua made 20 times that amount. So what are you like? And you wanted $7 million for Dillian Whyte. So what do you think? You're going to get like what? Are you going to ask me for 15 million or 10 million? Is that what you're going to do? What are you, high? Like what? You drinking Flint, Michigan water? What the fuck? You made $1.4 million in your last fight and $900,000 the fight before that. So where do you get that I got to give you 15 or even $10 million? It's just like Eddie Hearn said. Do the math. Do the numbers. They're going to have to overpay him. They're going to have to because he's not going to accept, you know. I mean, I can imagine he's not going to accept $5 million for the fight, even though that's the most he would have ever made. And I think that he wants more than 10 million. I think that.
Yeah.
I'm seeing rumors that they want half.
Like,
No, fuck,
right.
no, he's fucking smoking crack.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna blame the potheads for that shit, cause that's not even fucking fair.
I was gonna say even Bama Kush ain't even that good.
Half. He wants half. I'm seeing it that he wants half. Half of what? Half of the hair on my ass?
I would say you saying he wants hash? Maybe he's saying he wants hash.
Maybe.
Because that's the only thing he could probably. All right, so listen. All right, so now, in terms of Anthony Joshua now, it has been at least noted this week that his team is in talks now with Joseph Parker's team to have a fight lined up for this March. Eddie Hearn has said the blueprint has pretty much been to unify it all in 2018. So they are looking to have, like I said, Joseph Parker. And then in the summer, big showdown with Deontay Wilder, you know, for the true crowning of the king of the heavyweight division. Now, that pretty much seems to be the blueprint. I don't see why they stray from it. I'm liking that. I'm liking the whole outlook here. I feel like Anthony Joshua or Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua definitely have the good. First of all, they have the strongest hand in the lot right now, and they're pretty much making power moves right now. I mean,
well,
you consider taking advantage of the opportunity that is Joseph Parker, who for some reason won't fight Deontay Wilder. Why not take advantage of that to make that your christening, your crowning, make that scalp your own, and you're that much bigger the heavyweight champion, only to even build up a more heavy drumbeat to the Deontay Wilder fight, who, I mean, while considering that it, you know, the drumbeat for him is rather, you know, a little bit less noisy. He only brings one belt to the dance. It definitely, again, plays another role, another power role in that is Anthony Joshua.
If I'm honest and I'm Wilder, I'll fucking let Joshua fight Parker first, because the odds are Joshua's gonna beat Parker. Like I see it like this. Like if I'm Wilder, I'm not gonna try to fucking. If I want Joshua to fucking fight Parker, because that way when Joshua fights Parker, which I think Joshua is gonna beat him, then Deontay Wilder, all he gotta do is take one man out to get all the belts, if he does manage to get them. You know, because if Joshua doesn't fight Parker, it's gonna be hard as shit for Parker to want to fight Deontay Wilder, because he doesn't bring the money that he brings. Obviously, Parker like fuck. I'd rather lose to Joshua than to lose to fucking Wilder, because at least with Joshua, I'm gonna get paid. But Wilder, I'm not gonna make much. And if I'm Wilder, I'll just sit back. They do fight, fuck you know, I'll take a fight on the summer or in the beginning of the year, and then let them fight. And then when me and Joshua fight, we're fighting for all the belts. But I feel like Wilder shouldn't be like, oh, I want Joshua next, because that's fucking, to me, that's fucking retarded. Let
Well, he
Joshua and Parker
wants
fight.
he wants Joshua next because I think he knows he's on borrowed time. If he goes out there right now and stinks up the joint, there goes the buzz. You know, he's one
Yeah.
fight away from stinking up the joint. You know that, right? He could go out there right now and stink up the whole fucking joint, and there goes all your leverage. There goes your bargaining power. Right now, you're in an okay position, you know, because you just, you know, you beat a guy that you already beat, but people seem to like it. But he goes out there, he fights like he fought against Washington or like he fought against Duapas, and he gets both his eyes swollen shut. It's gonna look like what it's gonna look like. Like, oh, so you think I'm gonna give you $15 million? All right, bro.
It's
All right, bro.
I mean, and while I guess just to tail off that, Eddie Hearn pretty much just has now pretty much started the launch of his Matchroom expansion, that is Matchroom USA, headlining with his pretty much his two main signings, Gerald Miller and Danny Jacobs, who fight this week on HBO. Jacobs will be taking on Luis Arias, and Gerald Miller will be taking on Marius Walk. Now, I guess we should just start from the co-main up, so we can save Danny Jacobs for last, because then I'll lose any interest in talking into the Gerald Miller fight anyway. So let's get it, make it quick and easy. Gerald Miller, trying to ease his way into the discussion, getting in his way to, or at least making his way to get that title opportunity. You got to, if it, Jesus Christ, if you think about it, if you're Gerald Miller, I mean, what's your route really to the belt? Like, which one are you going for? Are you going to go the WBC route, or? I mean, but then I guess by the time when he does have that worked out, would it matter? Is it going to be the same person anyway? Who knows?
Well, Jarrell Miller's at least 2 fights away from a title shot. He's not 1 fight away from one. Actually, like, maybe, you know, if we're gonna talk about rank wise, not, you know, if he gets lucky and they pick him, but rank wise, he's about 1 to 2 more fights away from a title shot. You know, I'm not sure if he's even in the WBC ranks. I don't think he is. I don't remember seeing him there. I think he's in the IBF and the WBA ranks. So he's closer to Joshua than he is to Wilder. But I don't know that Eddie Hearn, I don't know that he's genuine in making that fight. I don't know that he means it, because he said he wants to make that fight, but he didn't say when.
Well, I mean, he's another that would pretty much just, you're kind of gonna, you want that one to just let it grow.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's another Dillian Whyte situation where I'm not really overly impressed. If there's something really that's I haven't seen yet, it needs to be honed and crafted. It needs to be taken care of and just worked out. Because if this is pretty much what essentially what I'm getting, I'm not going to really claim it to at least make such an argument for on his behalf, should I say, in short. So
because he's not the most dynamic heavyweight.
No,
he's a stalker. He comes forward, he gets in a high guard, he might move his head a little bit, but he's a stalker. He's just trying to close the gap and nail you once he catches up. But everything leading up to him catching up to you is pretty lackluster. He's in a high guard. There's punches land. Nothing spectacular. Nothing you're gonna make a meme or a gif out of. He's heavy-handed though, and that's a good thing. That's always good in the heavyweight division. He's a heavy-handed puncher. So
And he's also a heavy guy.
Yeah,
One of the heavier heavyweights.
yeah.
Well, it was at 295 was his last fight, where he was, I believe he was on the undercard of the, Jesus Christ, wasn't he on the undercard of the Broner fight, I believe. The
Yeah.
Broner Garcia fight was his
Yeah.
last outing with
That's Washington.
Washington. And, you know, I believe that went actually to the scorecards.
No, it didn't.
Oh,
Nah.
he actually stopped him late?
He stopped
Was
him.
He stopped him in the 12th?
No, he stopped him before the 12th. Washington couldn't take no more. Washington was trying to keep him at the end of the jab, use the ring. It wasn't working. Miller was catching up to him every time, landing
right.
bombs.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Because I do remember it stopping in the corner.
He was beating on him. You know, and remember, we talked about this, that it looked like, you know, Washington looked formidable against Wilder, but he turns right around and fights someone else, and he looks exactly how he looked before we saw him fight Wilder, which means it's not that Washington was that good, but that Wilder was that bad, that you're getting out jabbed by Gerald Washington.
Yeah, and that's really the worst part, is that he's really not even considered to be that great.
Like, you know, three fights that I want to see, and it could go either way. 3 fighters that I want to see: Dillian Whyte, Miller, and Reese. How you put those guys in any type of way you want to put them, Miller Reese or White Reese or Miller White, whatever. I want to. Those are 3 fights that I think are interested. Well, at least to my opinion. Which right now, myself, I'm wondering where the fuck's going on with Andy Reese, because ever since he lost to Parker, I don't think he's fought.
Well, you might be happy to know that Andy Ruiz is in the WBC's top 10.
He's 4th. He's number 4. That's why, to be an end of me, don't get me wrong, you know. I'm happy, but then if I'm realistic with myself, I'm like, how the fuck did you get there, bro?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm keeping it real, you know. I can say, oh, yeah, because I got to call the bullshit how I see it. And this is another thing that we mentioned, the WBC. A lot of people, I don't know if you noticed, but the WBC is pushing for a Mexican champion. They've been pushing that shit since Arreola, since Molina. They are. So I feel like, I mean, that's the leverage, or the advantage, I should say, that Reese got. But I'm just a little disappointed that ever since he lost to Parker, is that he just beat you and now you lost mentally, that you haven't gotten in the ring? I mean,
well, no, I would say that I think that Ruiz is contemplating what the next move might be, because Ruiz could compete at cruiserweight. If he came down a little bit, he could. And I kind of thought, I don't know, it was just in the back of my head that, you know, maybe they want to do that. But I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of virtue in a Mexican heavyweight champion. There's a lot of
course. Or even cruiserweight, maybe not, because he will still be the first one. Obviously not the same as heavyweight. But, you know, even you don't got a cruiserweight Mexican, you don't. But obviously everybody wants that heavyweight glory. And I don't blame him for it. I don't blame him for it. But I mean, you know, I would like to hear something from him within the next month, next few months, because I've seen he was in the rankings. But like I said, I'm happy because that's some of my countrymen and whatnot. But if I'm honest with myself, I'm like, how the fuck did you get there?
Well, speaking of how the fuck did you get there, Marius Walk, his opponent for Gerald Miller, his most notable fight against against Alexander Povetkin. Why the face, Julius?
Because I could just hear it in your voice, like, all right, now we got to talk about Walk.
Yeah. So I mean, out of the research I've done on this guy, nothing impressive. He's just very awkwardly big guy. Has spells of inactivity. But I'll tell you what, he did have a few moments against Povetkin. He caught him flush several times. Clean, almost staggering punches, should I say. But no, I don't see anything there that shows me there's a guy in here that's willing to knock out the idea of him being a opponent in this fight. I think he's pretty much well aware of his role coming into this, where we could just be seeing a showcase for a Miller here.
It's a showcase, man. Come on, it's Marius Pac. I mean, like, Miller is not the most dynamic heavyweight, but if you give him a heavyweight that isn't mobile, probably that because he's not going to have to work hard to catch up to. He's just going to do what he does. He's going to stalk that guy. He's going to lean in real close. He's going to try to land bombs. It took a little longer with Washington because
it is a
Washington's getting him
showcase
out the
though.
ring.
It is because just I mean let's think about it real quick. I mean, obviously you just signed with Hearn, so why is Hearn gonna put you in a thing? He wants you to look good. Now you're on his stable, so now he's gonna try to profit as much as he can off of you. So I don't think Hearn's gonna be dumb enough to put him against somebody dangerous. He wants to put his Miller against somebody that's gonna make Miller look good, and maybe attract some fans in England too. I feel like it is a showcase, but I mean, I can't count nobody out. But if we look at it, it is a showcase because look what happened with Chocolatito the last fight. I mean, nobody seen that shit coming. I did. I'm like, fuck.
Still made me mad as hell.
Like shit.
How you buy? You bet not.
No. Now, the one thing I will say though, as far as and I guess this just goes back to my just overall assessment of Gerald Miller with that whole, I mean, like the American, I mean, someone made the comparison of him like the American Dillian Whyte. So like that I feel like it's so damn spot on.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it is.
I made that comparison.
But I mean, it's so spot on, and like they are literally just of the same mold. Like they do nothing really and particularly well. I feel like their aggression, if anything, has been getting them by this whole time.
Don't
and then Miller, I feel like Miller's just milking the fact that he's a heavy guy.
Don't exhaust yourself giving Dylan and Jarrell compliments.
Oh no, I won't. Actually, let me continue. So I feel like Gerald Miller, his main issue if going forward, if upping the competition is what's set up for this guy. I mean, and they have one here in the opponent of Jesus Christ, Walk. Already forgot his name. So forgettable. And Walk, who is a pretty big fucking dude. Miller's, I feel like, is going to have a hard time with the taller guys. He showed at times whenever I feel like Washington wanted to be, active, showed some good success. And Miller looked a bit frustrated. He was shaking his head a lot of the times, like, oh, that didn't hurt me or da 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 da. They're still connecting where they weren't, a few rounds ago. So honestly, I feel like maybe that might be the thing here is just like Dillian Whyte has them on the same progression of where you need to learn how to fight taller guys. That's what Hearn, he openly addressed that before Dillian Whyte's fight a few weeks ago. I feel like that is the same thing that's going on here. Matchmaking by Mr. Hearn here again. If this is what this is what he's trying to have worked out, I get it. And they probably are counting. I almost guarantee you, Eddie Hearn is banking on the fact that Walk is going to be just walking in activity in this fight. Yeah, he sees it. Hence his position even getting here.
I mean, look, let's put it this way. If he was able to find Gerald Washington in the ring, Gerald Washington being athletic and mobile and fighting behind the left hand, if he could still find him, then he'll find Marius. He'll find him. It's a showcase fight. It's a fight so that you can see how hard Jarrell Miller hits a really fat, tall guy.
What's it like when a short, fat guy hits a tall, fat guy?
Yeah.
Man against animal. Man against beast.
Overweight matchups on Saturday night. Starring Jarrell Miller. 27 stone of raw.
Man vs. Wild, featuring Jarrell Miller.
Oh man.
All right, now speaking of showcases, Danny Jacobs is fighting Luis Arias. Now, it's, you know, if you
That's
have
insult.
heard the little bickering back and forth between the two when they, you know, do the face to face, this is a main insult that Danny Jacobs tells Arias is that, like, you're my showcase. Like, you're my showcase. You're here because of me.
And
So, but I mean, Arias is totally fulfilling the role of upset king here.
yeah.
Talking, I mean, he's got to talk to match it. His last outing was actually on the undercard of the Kovalev Ward 2 fight. So both these guys are pretty much coming off off fights around the same general time. Actually, I feel like Jacob's fight might have been a little bit sooner. But Arias is still fresh off that performance, probably his best outing. And for me, a decent, sturdy fighter, fundamentally sound. Nothing in particularly stands out to me, no, as far as speed or power goes. But
Pretty good in the pocket.
I mean, yeah, he's definitely good in the pocket. Great upper body movement. Punch selection is pretty okay. So I mean, I made this point in the description is that this could be a showcase turn trap if Danny Jacobs isn't careful.
Yeah. And he's not always careful. That's the thing.
Yeah, and that is the worrying thing. So with this, you know, everything that I just entailed in the build-up, I mean, what's your look on the fight? How does it play out? And what are you looking for in particular since seeing these two fighters?
Well, the thing about what makes for an interesting situation with Arias is that he's actually pretty good at landing that right hand in the pocket. It's actually pretty accurate. We know that Danny Jacobs, he likes to have these little rumble sessions in close quarters where he's just stringing a lot of punches together. That's really how we nailed Peter Quillen. So there is an off chance. I'm not saying I think that's what's going to happen. That a right hand might find Danny's face. And, you know, Danny, you know, he's a good fighter. He's a great fighter even. But he has, you know, Luis isn't lying. You've been dropped before, okay? Sergio dropped you, okay? Okay? Sergio. So let's cut the crap. But all in all, at the end of the day, Luis has not fought anyone to prepare him for this fight. That's just reality. You know, like your biggest test was Magomed or whatever his name was. That was literally your biggest test. This is a different breed and a different caliber of opponent who has a size advantage on you. He's been in with far better people than you. He's a bigger puncher than anyone you ever faced, and he has his virtues. Danny Jacobs is mobile, is athletic, is fast, is strong, is a good boxer. So I got Jacobs winning this thing. I'm not settled on a knockout, but, you know, I wouldn't rule it out. But, you know, I got Danny winning this thing. And I think that maybe it'll be more interesting, you know, than people let on. And that's why calling Luis a showcase, that seems presumptuous. This kid could fight. He can fight.
Yeah, and that's actually, I feel like the real appeal here is that or at least the banana peel here. And I like how I did that. Appealing.
Really
that was pretty cool. I didn't even intend to do that. But I mean, the fact that, yeah, I mean, it's tricky as hell because he can fight, and I don't know, man. I feel like if Danny Jacobs walks into the fight with the idea that I feel like most fans are, as far as tuning in to watch this fight, they're going to be in for a quite pleasant surprise once they see that Danny Jacobs is actually probably, if he does actually get knocked down, en route to a win. Who knows? I mean, it could be that kind of fight, honestly. Like you said, I could see this actually being quite contentious.
I mean, because Danny Jacobs is a boxer puncher that leans towards the punching. Luis Arias is a boxer puncher that leans towards the boxing. So that kind of, actually, it's odd, but it gives Luis an advantage. It gives him an advantage that he can fight on the inside or step out of range. You know, he likes to circle the ring a lot. Well, not circle the ring, but circle center ring. You know, sidestep a lot of punches and throw some punches. He can get to Danny that way. He can. I mean, that's how Danny's been caught before. So there's a window of opportunity there for him to turn this into a fight. The thing is that you know, at the end of the day, it's who you fought. And Luis never fought anybody like this.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't. So
Yeah.
even though I think he's got a shot, I wouldn't bet on it.
Oh,
I wouldn't bet
absolutely
on it.
not. Yeah, I was gonna say let's not let that get lost in translation here.
Yeah,
While giving it the banana pill factor, I'm still picking Danny Jacobs to probably even win by knockout, most likely. I mean,
that's
I
possible.
would feel like just because of his Arias' style of coming forward
Hmm.
may actually be his downfall into this. I mean, because neither is. I mean, Danny Jacobs showed that he can box, but I just kind of don't think that's how he's going to go about this. At least consistently throughout the fight, he may box at some time throughout it, but I don't think it's something he's going to stick with, or at least how he gets Arias out of here.
Yeah, because I mean, lest we forget, he got Peter Quillen out of there in one fucking round.
Yeah.
And it's a knockout is definitely inside the realm of possibility. It's just that to call Luis Arias a showcase, like, oh, we found this heavy bag outside of the Barclays, and we're gonna put it in the ring with Danny Jacobs. Like, nah, he's not that kind of fighter. He's not a scrapper. He's not a Jorge Sebastian Highland. He's not one of those. He's not a
Mm-mm.
comic. He's not one of those. He's a good fighter. So because he's a good fighter, he's not a showcase. Danny will show us what he is. Danny will show us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He'll definitely show us what type of caliber of fighter he is coming off the performance, whether it's hype or not. So I'm guessing you're under how are you picking when or Danny gets this?
Okay, I'm gonna say Danny wears this kid down. I think that the kid's gonna look okay. He's gonna be fresh in the beginning. He might do better than people think he can. And I think that course of the fight, Danny wears this guy down with the kind of pressure that this kid's never seen. And he can get him out of there ninth or 10th round. Because Danny has, and it's like people don't like to talk about it, or maybe they don't understand, but Danny Jacobs hits fucking hard, bro. Like, he hits hard.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it's like people tend to forget that, like, yo, this guy's he's heavy-handed, you know that, right? So I think that he gets to this kid, he might get him out of there 9, 10 rounds.
Yeah. I think there could be a possibility of maybe a little bit sooner than that, maybe an 8 to 7.
Mm.
At least that's how I'm general. I'm picking it well within that 3 round span. Pretty much under the same idea. Danny Jacobs, again, like you said, people forget he is heavy-handed. He does have knockout power. He does have some form of a knockout artist's prowess.
Yeah.
So I mean, people forget just because of Golovkin took all of his shots, meant that he couldn't punch. Golovkin took everybody's punches. I mean,
Yeah.
he fights he spars with light heavyweights.
Yeah.
So I mean, come on now.
It
But
might be like the Derevyanchenko Johnson fight where the knockout didn't come till later, you know, like that. Like, all right, he's just gonna beat the shit out of you a lot, and then it'll come. And now, I don't know where. There's George. Jesus Christ.
I don't know why the hell this keeps happening. We're about to wrap this up soon.
Well, yeah, I was saying it might be like the Derevyanchenko and Johnson fight where, you know, Derevyanchenko had to fuck him up a little bit before the knockout, you know, before the knockout came. He had to fuck him up. I think that's what's gonna happen to Lewis. I think he's gonna, you know, Danny's gonna have to fuck him up a little bit, but it'll come.
Yeah, the same idea. Yeah, we get a little bit a little rough. Pretty actually hectic. I feel like Arias comes out with some stock though,
Mm-hmm.
for a decent fight or for a decent night of fights. So that closed things up here. Now wanted to do a final burn session on anything. This is just freelance on anything. Now, did you come to like? I know I told you about this yesterday. Did you prepare anything at all as far as what
Yeah.
you was thinking you wanted to burn about today?
I mean, you want me to burn, dog? I can burn for hours.
Just,
dog.
I mean, just one thing, just one thorn
You know,
in particular in your side that you
fuck?
got to get out.
How the fuck? But 2 months ago, you assholes We're making excuses for Gervonta Davis to not unify with a champion. But here you are crying about unifications later. You made every excuse in the book for this fucking kid, but you want to get all high and mighty and self-righteous about Anthony Joshua when Anthony Joshua hasn't even A-sided this guy yet. But you were crying and bitching and moaning and making excuses and playing violins for Gervonta Davis. You went on for a year and co-signed the shenanigans of Canelo Alvarez when all we wanted to see was a unification fight. That's all we've wanted to see. We wanted to see Canelo unify with Golovkin. We wanted to see Davis and Lomachenko unify with each other, and that's what we want to see with Wilder and Joshua. But you guys didn't feel that way when it was about them. Oh, now you feel that way because it's about fucking Wilder. Do me a favor. Get the fuck off his dick, bro. Get off his dick. What are you, in love with him? What, you want to eat dinner? You want to buy him a beer? The fuck do you watch boxing for the boxing or for the stories? You naive fucks. And that's my burn.
My burn is just the. These are just outright partisan folks, and they know damn well the shit they're saying is illogical, and it doesn't make any fucking sense at all. I've seen people that went full-blown Anthony Joshua ducking Wilder campaign mode. People are actually really under this belief now. These two have literally just got done fighting 7 days ago. Deontay Wilder just fought 7 days ago, okay, against a mandatory that he was supposed to, for some reason, fight for months now. Actually, this whole past year, he was actually supposed to fight this guy, okay? Anthony Joshua, in somewhat of the same position, had to take care of that IBF, that nagging IBF mandatory. Finally took care of that one. Mandatory obligations are kind of like prickly, right? Obviously, we need to get them fulfilled, so unification actually still means something. That's besides the point, because I think everyone with a brain understands that. But I think people with the brain should also understand that that was 2 weeks ago as well. Nothing has changed. You can't change what the past was up to this point, or what the past 2 weeks were. A fight could not be made in between these 2 weeks.
You couldn't.
There's not even been a position for Anthony Joshua to duck yet. He's talking about unifying through the whole next year.
Yeah.
And because Deontay Wilder makes 3 posts, because he berates sports outlets, because he called up the boxing voice, and he said that Eddie Hearn's playing around with him, or he hasn't been able to get in touch with him, that all of a sudden Anthony Joshua, the guy who has a more sturdy and competitive resume within 19 fights than Deontay Wilder has had twice the amount of fights.
He's one fight.
But he's the one who's afraid. He's the one who's ducking any type of challenge. I can't level with that. If this is how I have to argue on that behalf on why it isn't, when it's this damn clear. I don't even this is why I don't even get into those thread battles anymore. Because if this is what if this is the leverage or the starting point that we're arguing with, I will never get to a point of reasoning with you. Because
and that's where it's at. That's where it's at. That's where it's at.
And that's my burn. God damn it.
We are beyond reasoning. Anthony Joshua has 20 fucking fights, bro. He literally just had 20 fights. And
no, but the fight was supposed to happen yesterday. What are you talking about, Julius? They're supposed to make
4 years ago.
Yeah, supposed to bring back Friday night fights. It's supposed to be going on right now, and Teddy Atlas and Joe Tessitore on the call.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man! Like, and that another thing. Let me just add on. Attachment to burn. No subject. Or if we're picking out the outlets now, if that's how this is how petty the argument sounds, like, oh well, you know, people weren't always big on fighters going on Twitter, but Anthony Joshua made YouTube videos. That's pretty serious to me. I don't know about. Yeah, I mean, really, this is this is
Yeah.
real life.
This is
This is
this
life.
is what drinks Sprite and he drinks Coca-Cola. Or he shops at Wawa and he goes to 7-Eleven. Like, why don't you get off their dick? Just get off their dick.
Jeez.
Jesus.
It's pathetic, man. Like,
It's terrible. It's terrible.
yeah, but you know, it's been a hypocrisy battle all week. But I feel like the ones who were super A side to be pretty much a year ago from today, now whistling a different tune.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're definitely going to be held to the fire on this one. It's only been 1 week, and we still got plenty of time till this fight happens. So there's gonna be plenty of time to, you know, putting burning witches at the staff.
It's only gonna get worse.
Truly.
I mean, if this is where it's at now, because we know they're not fighting next. They're not. This is gonna get significantly worse. This could get bad.
Yeah, feelings are hurt now. Okay, like there are people who are. Look, let me stop. Let me just stop, because there are people who really can't really seem to shake this issue at all. It's really struck a nerve. But we're only 1 week in. We are only 1 week in. We've got plenty of time looking forward. All right, so the platforms, you know, G.Alé 6 on Instagram, G.Alé Dampier on Facebook, at Georgie Dampier on Twitter. Subscribe if you haven't already. Of course, if you're watching this now in the past, present, or future. And UK boxing group Ring IQ is the place for bants only. And yeah, man, if you don't got the goal to hold your topic, or if you don't, you know, you don't feel that indignation inside you to really make that point that you know is going to be a little, you know, unpopular, it's not the place for you.
Yeah.
So just full warning. Mr. Fox, Fuentiabla, do you have any shout outs before we head out of here?
No, just follow Ring IQ Boxing Memes on Instagram, Ring IQ Boxing Talk on YouTube and Facebook, and you know, just try to be consistent, because consistency is all we ask for. Don't you know, it's irritating, that's all, because you see these campaigns that these guys are on, and then the next month it's completely the other way around. Be consistent, show some fucking character, show some class, and
let it be known that everything you say is on the record. We can't. There are screenshots for this reason.
Screenshots. There are voicemails. Hillary Clinton. You know, we got her email. Like, stuff. Got all kinds of stuff. And we're gonna find it. You know, we're gonna find.
We'll hack your shit like Russians. Okay. We'll pull it all up. Pull up all that dirt. All right. So without further ado, we'll get the hell up out of here. Enjoy the fights next week. It's going to be full of events. Also, I believe Josh Kelly also fights this weekend. Look out for him. Those are all him and Josh Taylor. All those fights are going to be on, of course, during the day over across the pond in the UK. So if that'll be all, peace out till next week.